I'm Rantasmo, and Gus Van Sant needs more gay. Like that of just about any director, the career of Gus Van Sant has had its ups and downs. He's enjoyed success in both the mainstream and independent circuit, but he's been known to make a few movies where, to put it politely, not much happens. Scintillating. And there was that shot-for-shot remake of Psycho, which nobody really likes to talk about. But both of these movies share a common theme with most of Van Sant's work: death. And for that reason, before I get into the gay stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and issue a general spoilers, y'all. Van Sant is openly gay, and as gay auteurs are wont to do, he's made a number of gay interest films, beginning with his first real feature, Mala Noche. Mala Noche stars Tim Streeter as store clerk Walt Curtis, author of the autobiography that the movie's based on, who spends most of the movie pining after Johnny, a Mexican boy of dubious legal status, both in the immigration sense and the statutory sense. Walt's lust goes unrequited, so he settles for Johnny's friend Pepper, which doesn't exactly end well. Here we see the first instance of the recurring themes that we see in Van Sant movies. First and foremost, that of the antihero, a sympathetic protagonist that lacks any number of conventionally heroic traits. Mala Noche introduces the concept of a gay antihero, one that shows that a gay character can be realistic and appealing, while at the same time a little bit creepy and racist.
Every street Mexican on 6th will think he can stick it in me while they're wrong. But they never were too smart to begin with, or they wouldn't be here.
With its gritty black and white graininess and romantic slacker protagonist, Mala Noche is almost like the gay, artsy ancestor of Kevin Smith's Clerks, except that it's way better than that sounds. Unrequited love also plays a role in My Own Private Idaho, loosely based on several works of William Shakespeare. River Phoenix plays Mike, a hustler with narcolepsy, and Keanu Reeves plays Scott, a hustler who acts like Keanu Reeves. This is one of Van Sant's more critically lauded works, though I've never been a huge fan of it myself. It's not bad per se, just maybe too ambitious for its own good. The Shakespearean dialogue doesn't always quite work, and it all sometimes comes across as a little tedious and meandering. I will say it's one of Keanu Reeves' better performances, and it was pretty much the peak of River Phoenix's tragically short career. And it's hard not to at least feel sympathy for Phoenix's character.
I could love someone even if I, wasn't paid for it. I love you and you don't pay me.
This guy just can't get a break. He's in love with a guy who doesn't love him back, he's in constant search of his mother who abandoned him, and he spends the final moments of the movie unconscious in the middle of the street while rednecks steal his shoes. Speaking of happy endings, Elephant. At first glance, this might seem to be one of those Van Sant movies where nothing really happens. There's a lot of long tracking shots chronicling a seemingly ordinary day in the life of several high school students, including the members of a gay-straight alliance. But what seems to be a normal, uninteresting day eventually turns gruesome, as signaled by these ominous clouds. What we soon discover is that this movie is actually based on the 1999 Columbine High School shooting. The killers in this case are actually implied to have a romantic relationship with each other, albeit a fairly twisted one, and Van Sant doesn't make any assumptions about their motives. Just like in real life, the murders are brutal and infuriatingly pointless. Most of the roles are played by new or non-actors, and while the end result might feel a little stilted and awkward, I think that's almost the intention, to show how chillingly uncomfortable high school can really be. Lastly is Van Sant's most recent and gayest mainstream film, Milk, a biopic of the life of gay politician Harvey Milk, who was assassinated by fellow city supervisor Dan White. There's something about Sean Penn's face that makes me just instantly hate him for no good reason. I'm not sure why. I think it's residue left over from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, those guys are fags!
But I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. It's a pretty captivating snapshot of a period when gay rights was just getting its feet off the ground, and Penn really captures Milk's spirit and his sly sense of humor.
What, can two men reproduce?
No, but God knows we keep trying.
The film wisely focuses on Harvey's life a lot more than his death. And just like an elephant, we never definitively discover Dan White's motives, unless you can believe that whole Twinkie thing. Man, those things are bad for you. Even though Van Sant's movies often deal with death and isolation, there's a sardonic sort of optimism to them, which suggests that even when things seem dark and hopeless, there's always something positive to be found. The one exception being, of course, a remake of Psycho.